This video will go over how to do the percentages review paper. Take a minute and just read through how to do percentages, and then we will start answering on the back side of the paper. The first question, number one, what is 45% of 900? So remember that the word of in math really means times, to multiply. And so when you do percentages and you need to multiply, you need to take it out of a percentage. And to do that, you're going to take the decimal point and you're going to move it once, twice. So 2 times to get it out of a percentage. So this is going to be 0.45 times 900. And so then over off to the side, I'm going to go ahead and do my math like this. And so 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, 9 times 5 is 45, add a 0 here. And then 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 0 is 0, and 9 times 4 is 36. I'm going to add these two together. So remember, when you multiply decimals, you have to then put the decimal in your answer in the same amount of decimal places. So there's 1, 2 decimal places here. So we're going to put our decimal here. So our answer is 405. All right, going on to number 2. 13% of a 12-acre forest is being logged. How many acres will be logged? So we need to take the 13% and move it into a decimal. So we're going to take the decimal once, twice, move it over. So it's going to be 0.13. Let's go ahead and take 12,000 times 0.13. And it's going to be 3 times 0 for 3 times. Then 2 times 6 is 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Add a 0. And then 3 zeros. And then a 2 and a 1. I'm going to add these together. And now I got to count my decimal places. 1, 2. So this needs to go over once, twice. And so our answer is 1,560 acres. Pause the video whenever you need to, because I know I go rather quickly through the video. Number 3, a water heater tank holds 280 gallons. 2% of the water is lost to steam. How many gallons remain to be used? So the AP test likes these kinds of questions because first you have to subtract. So 2% is lost to steam, and it is really asking you what percentage is used. And so 98% is used, so they expect you to just do that simple calculation first. And now I'm going to take 280 gallons, and I'm going to multiply that by 0.98. And so now I'm going to solve my math. And I have 2 decimal spots, 1 and 2. I know my decimal was written right over here, but that was a mistake. So 1, 2 here, and so our answer is 274.4 gallons, and that would be the 98% that is used. Skip number 4. Number 4 is a faulty question. It's worded strangely. So let's go on to number 5. 35 is what percentage of 2,800? So you set it up like this. So 2,800, and we want to know the percentage. So that's our x here, and so I'm just going to put percentage here because that's really what we're trying to find, is the percentage of 2,800, and it gives us the answer is going to be 35. So now I'm going to take 2,800 on both sides here, and this will cancel out, and so we're going to have x is equal to 35 over 2,800. So for this problem here, that's a little bit sloppy. So we have 2,800 going into 35. And this is a rather long division problem, but it's doable. So here's our decimal, bring it up, add a 0. It doesn't go in, so we have to add 1 here and 1 here. Notice that there are 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top. So it goes in once. I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to end up with 700 as my remainder. I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. 2,800 goes into 7,000. It goes in twice. So if I need to do some scratch math up here, I can. So that's 5,600. I'm going to subtract, and I get 1,400. I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. And 2,800 goes into 14,000. It actually goes in 5 times evenly. So our answer is 0.0125, but we need it in a percentage. So to get it into a percentage, you can do one of two things. So here's our answer again. You can move the decimal point over once, twice, or you can just take it and multiply it by 100. Either way, you get the same answer. And so our answer here is 1.25%. Number 6, 14,000 acres of a 40,000 acre forest burned in a forest fire. What percentage of the forest was damaged? So here, it tells us, again, we want to find the percentage. So 40,000 times, and again, our x number is a percentage, and that's really our variable, so that's going to be our x, and this is 14,000, which is the amount that burned. And so I'm going to divide both sides by 40,000. Now, before I do my long division, I'm going to cancel out some zeros. So I can cancel the same number of zeros on the top and the bottom. So the max I can cross out here is 3, and so the max I can cross out here is 3. Notice I did not cross out all the zeros. I just crossed out the same number on the top and the bottom. And so now my problem is a little bit nicer to work with. So 40 goes into 14. So here's my decimal, bring it up, add a 0. 40 goes into 143 times. 3 times 40 is 120. Subtract, I get 20, add a 0, bring it down. 40 goes into 200 5 times easily. And so my answer here, to put it in a percentage, is going to be 35%. So again, I move my decimal once, twice to get 35%, or multiply it by 100. Either way works for percentages. Number 7, you have driven the first 150 miles of a 2,000-mile trip. What percentage of the trip have you traveled? Same concept again. We have 2,000 times an x again. X is our percentage. And that is 150. So 2,000, 2,000. And let's cross out some zeros. So 1 here and 1 there. And so now it's a little bit easier of a long division problem. Here's our decimal, bring it up, add a 0. Doesn't go in, so I'm going to add 1 here and here. Now it goes in 7 times. 7 times 200 is 1,400. Subtract. My remainder is 100. Add a 0, bring it down. And that goes in evenly at 5. So here's a big no-no. Sometimes students just go, oh, it must be 75%. That is wrong. You don't just stick a percentage on there. You have to multiply the decimal, or remove the decimal only 2 places. And so our answer is 7.5%, not 75. So don't make that common mistake. Number 8, home prices have dropped 5% in the past 3 years. An average home in Indianapolis 3 years ago was $130,000. What's the average home price now? So it says it's dropped 5%. So we could multiply that by 5 and then subtract, or we could subtract now. So we want the value of the home now. And so it's 95% of the value that it was before. So now I'm going to take 130,000 and I'm going to multiply that by 90.95. And that's a cheap house. That must not be in California. So again, it's 95% of the original value. And so you can subtract at this point, or you could subtract at the end. If you multiplied this by 0.5, then you would have to do some subtraction at the end. So when I do this big long problem, and I'm not going to do all of it right now, but because I've done several of them where I've done the big long problem, but when I do it, it comes out as 123,500, and so that's the answer to number 8. Number 9, a similar problem. Greenland ice sheet is 2,850,000 cubic kilometers of ice, and it's melting at a rate of 0.006%. How many cubic kilometers are lost? So this one you need to, you don't need to subtract to this one, but this one's kind of tricky because a lot of students will want to just take this, oh look, it's a small number already, and they'll just do this. So I'm just going to multiply like that. And this is wrong because first, you don't just remove the percentage sign, you've got to actually move the decimal point. And so our decimal point has to be moved 2 spots. So it needs to go 1, 2, new decimal, fill in. And so our number that we're going to be multiplying is this number. So let's do that. And so that one is a little bit tricky, but again, the AP test doesn't do simple. They do a couple of, they want 2 steps in each problem. So now there's our math problem. And this is not a very hard math problem. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6 times 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 times 6 is 30. Bring up my 3. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 3, so that's 51. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 5 is 17. Let's count our zeros now. Or sorry, our decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. New decimal there, and the answer is 171 kilometers cubed. And that's our answer to number 9. Number 10. And we are going to skip number 10 because that one doesn't round very easily. And so let's go ahead and skip it. Number 11, a teenager consumes 20% of her calories each day in the form of protein. If she's getting 70 calories a day from protein, how many calories is she consuming per day? So this one is now asking you to find 20% of some number, and they give it like this. So this time we're trying to find calories, not percentages. So 20%, move it back, is, here's our decimal, it's 0.2. X equals 700. So let's go ahead and do this like that. So that means our 0.2's cross out. And so X is equal to 700 divided by 0.2. So when we do long division, 0.2 goes into 700, but we can't have the decimal here. We have to, on this side, get rid of the decimal. not on this side. This side, the other side's fine. But it's this side here that cannot have a decimal. So since we moved it over one place to get rid of it, we're going to take this decimal and move it over one place and then bring up the decimal to the top. So now my problem is 2 going into 7,000. So 2 goes into 7 3 times, subtract, get a remainder of 1, bring down the 0. 2 goes into 10, 5 times evenly, fill in the zeros. And so this girl eats 3,500 calories a day. That's a lot of calories. She must be an athlete. Last but not least, number 12, if in a small oak tree, the biomass of insects makes up 3,000 calories, this is 4% of the total biomass. What's the total biomass? We're going to set it up the same way as our previous problem. So 4% of X is 3,000. So see our decimal here? Again, some kids just go, oh, 0.4, that's how you get rid of the percentage sign. But that's not correct. So let's go ahead and get rid of our percentage sign. We got to fill this in like that. So it's going to be 0.04 x is equal to 3,000. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our long division. So it's 0.04 going into 3,000. We have to get rid of the decimal on this side. Again, this side is the bad side. You can't have a decimal on this one. This side is perfectly fine to have a decimal. So let's get rid of it. We're going to move it once, twice to get rid of it. And this time we're going to have to move this side over once, twice, like this. And so our new setup is 4 going into 300,000. Here's our decimal here. Make sure we bring it to the top so that we can solve it. And I'm not going to do the whole long division with you right now, but when you do the whole long division, the answer comes out to be 75,000 kilograms. And that's it.